To the serving officers and crew of the War God's Elite Task Force. Find attached the transcript of the meeting between the Fleet Admirals and the High Council of Elders at Jiuhuashan, Anhui Province. The points of contention involved the declaration of autonomy by Second Fleet and the Third Fleet exiles. You can read the subsequent ruling of the Council regarding this matter, but it will be sufficient to note that the First Fleet Admiralty no longer dictates our military policy. However, we will still obey the will of the Council in non-military matters, and the Martian government still acknowledges Federation authority. The second imperative point of contention concerned the fate of the GTL Agincourt. It was my intention to recommission the Agincourt into the registry of the Second Fleet as a support vessel, using the precedent of the GTL Solace when she defected to Federation authority last year. She now serves as part of the Home Fleet in a classified capacity. Admiral Calder supported my proposition. The motion was denied by the Council, and an order handed down for the immediate transport of the vessel to Earth. In their words, the Agincourt is no longer a military asset, and is now the property of the Federation Science Institute. My official position on this matter is the same as Admiral Calder's. We will support the Elders in this, and have thus relinquished control of the Agincourt. Despite this setback, I expect each of you to do your duty to the best of your ability, and I have every confidence that we will prevail in this conflict. Admiral Kyle Netreba, UED Eris, 2nd Fleet Mars.
Netreba, Calder, what in the devil's name are you two playing at? Autonomy? I have given you autonomy enough these past 18 months, to the near ruin of us all. Given your war gods did well in securing the Agincourt, but Admiral Calder's fixation with the destruction of Circa Team threw 2 cruisers and an ECM asset right into Tev hands. Admiral Netreba's stunt at Neptune damaged his artillery ships and nearly cost us the Eris. A single reactionary artillery strike at the Hood would have saved lives and secured the Agincourt sooner. If you two insist on continuing these frontier antics, then there's little I can do. I've told you enough times that these are only temporary victories against a determined and highly adaptable enemy. The Tevs can afford destroyer casualties. We're barely getting by on cruiser and strikecraft attrition. Your faith in your fleets is admirable, but we won't win this conflict through force of arms. It's not who we are. Would that your faith in the Elders be stronger in the times when we must rely on it most. Admiral Byrne, UED Solaris, Home Fleet.
Okay, people, leave ended 12 hours ago, so quiet down. As you've probably seen, the Indus's time in dock came with some extra perks. We're now one of the very few frigates in 2 Fleet with functioning hot showers. My mom always said that heroism paid big dividends. While we were cavorting around on leave, some very disturbing political developments have occurred. These events are a direct result of our capture of the GTL Agincourt. Unfortunately, it appears that Admiral Steele had a contingency plan for the loss of one or both of his logistics ships. That plan may now be in its first stages, and with luck, we can disrupt it. 6 minutes ago, recon elements picked up a distress call from an unregistered freighter outside the asteroid belt under attack by the Gaian effort. The recon wing moved in to check out the situation and possibly confiscate the freighter's cargo. Turns out, the ship wasn't Tev, but Vasudan. Yes. It seems the Imperium has finally decided to pay us a visit, and we've been chosen to be part of their welcoming committee. The Pasejet is a Vasudan logistics ship in the vein of the Agincourt, and from what intel's gathered about these ships, they seem pretty similar to their Tev counterparts. Big, slow, and poorly armed. A prime target for pretty much any hostile force in this system. The Vasudan ship was ambushed during a navigational adjustment between intra-system hops. Somehow, the Geths knew where this adjustment would occur, which seems impossible as jump schedules are tightly classified, but that's a job for Netraba's intel personnel. Now, technically we're not at war with the Vasudans, but they are still allies with the General Terran Assembly. Admiral Netraba wants us to secure control of the freighter, assist their crew, and get some answers from their captain regarding their standing orders. We need to know where the Vosidons stand in this war, and whether or not Emperor Kanzu II has decided to throw his weight behind the Tev push into our system. Our fear is that Kanzu has elected to support Steel logistically. Laporte, you'll be my second. Levi, you're Alpha 3. Courtney and McManus, take up Beta Wing. Alpha Wing has cleared the fighter bay.
Ubuntu are here? Oh, fucking break off! We need your whole ass.
Beta, we've got a visual.
Our boarding party is getting set up here, boss. Starting with the suits with their enormous gun. It's got some kind of power armor. Gaia, it's got a fucking sword!
I didn't sign up for this shit! We're getting out of here!
Marines, must get through the airlock. We're eating an explosive device inside the dock.
Pilot, go defensive now.
Detonation detected. Marines, report your status.
We have suffered major casualties. The explosion bundled several hopefuls and left multiple compartments disturbed.
Retreat! Retreat! This operation's gone to hell.
Those Geth bastards bit off a bit more than they could chew. I wonder what drove them to attack the Vasudans. Didn't we think they were working for the Tevs?
Passajet, this is Captain Sorensen of the United Earth Frigate Indus, 2nd Fleet Mars. We've received your distress signal and are here to provide assistance. What is your status?
You are speaking to Captain Apries of the Passajet. The Geth boarding party inflicted damage to our fuel processes. We have multiple cases of radiation exposure and flash burns. Our emergency response teams have been overwhelmed.
We've got a medical transport on 2-minute standby, Captain Apri. Our medics have been brought up to speed on Vasudan physiology. Permission to proceed?
Permission denied, Captain Sorensen. Under GTVA protocol, we cannot submit our vessel to your authority.
We're not asking for your surrender, Captain Apri. Federation policy is to offer support to all neutral vessels in distress. Our hands are open.
This is not a neutral vessel. Under the Deneb Convention, your government is designated a hostile power. As such, we have no choice but to respond to any attempted boardings with force.
Are the Vasudans rejecting our medical assistance? Are they insane?
Think about it this way, Levi. The Geths are a lot like their hammer of light. Would you let a bunch of Vasudans board your ship after an attack by those nutjobs?
If we're falling back on technicalities, Captain, last I checked, our government was at war with the General Terran Assembly, not the Imperium. Consider this a token of friendship from a society that shares much in common with your own.
Your actions are honorable, Captain Sorensen, but I cannot help but doubt your intentions. We are quite aware of the role that your ship played in the capture of the GTL Agincourt.
I'm sure you'll see the difference between action against an enemy target and a mission of mercy, Passajet. Scan the Litman, and you'll find no weapons on board.
Your medical ship appears to be what it seems, Captain Sorensen. Our situation leaves us little choice. Send the Lichman, and only the Lichman, to the port dock. I will have a Marine detachment meet your medical team at the airlock.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Indus War Gods, looks like we're privileged enough to witness the first contact between Earth and Vasudan forces in 50 years.
I'd do anything just to talk to one of them. I've read stories about their culture. Martin Manto said that Khonsu was closer to spiritual enlightenment than many of our elders.
Spiritually enlightened or not, their beams are going to be just as terrifying when they're aimed at our ships. Until they're helping us kick the Tevs out of our system, I'm not going to expect a damn thing from them.
Really, Captain? There's no curiosity down under all that Martian gruff? Permit me to quote the Intel database. A civilization of philosophers, artists, and scholars. You're not intrigued?
Once attended a lecture given by one of the Epsilon 4. He answered questions afterwards about what it was like being one of the only Vasudans left in Sol. Of course, they say the Vasudans were with the Fedayeen.
Captain Sorensen, we're picking up a jump point forming nearby. Hostile configuration.
Looks like the Tevs got the distress call too. All crew to battle stations. Fighter wings take up escort positions around the Indus and Lidman. Do not engage unless fired upon.
Weapons hold, Alpha and Beta wings. Do not fire until I say. Keep away from those Tev ships.
GTCVR-2Z Federation vessels. The passage is under our protection. Stand down your vessels and leave, or we'll open fire.
This is Captain Sorensen of the United Earth Frigate Indus. Negative on your demands, Arethusa. We are engaged in a medical mission and will defend ourselves.
Pilot, go defensive, now!
Damn Tev! Get off my tail! Indus Control, permission to open fire!
Don't make me laugh, Captain. Medical mission? This is clearly another attack of our logistics by a desperate military. Leave now, or suffer the consequences.
Captain Price, we can vouch for their actions thus far. The Indus and her fighters assisted in driving off an attack by the Gaian effort. We are transmitting logs.
Acknowledged, passengers. We believe some Gaian effort cells may be working for the Federation's Black Ops unit. This is likely an attempt on your ship.
Their teams aboard my vessel are unarmed. They did not exhibit any suspicious behavior.
These records seem to check out, Captain Aprius. But we've got bigger problems. Your ship's hull integrity is dropping fast. We need to deploy teams to help contain internal fires and lock down damage. Captain Sorensen, unless you want a firefight aboard a dying ship, withdraw at once. Your rescue efforts are neither welcome nor needed. We will use force if necessary.
We don't have time for this, Captain. These Vasudans are in need of medical assistance. Unless you want to explain to the Emperor why his soldiers had to die, let us do our jobs.
Oh, Indus Control, I'm getting red lights on my board. Long-range communications are down.
Captain Sorensen, we don't have time for this posturing. The clock's ticking on the Passaget's reactor failure.
Captain Price, we're picking up massive jamming from your corvette. What is the meaning of this?
A little, insurance policy, Captain Sorensen. You want to do things your way? Fine. Help out the Vasudans, but no reinforcements.
GTT Samson, on approach to dock with the Pesedjet's ventral airlock. Federation forces, if you are armed, hold your fire.
In which case, Captain, I'm sure you won't object to us returning the favor. Comms, hit them with a wide-frequency blast. Jam their long-range communications.
This is Medic Team Alpha. We're experiencing massive internal detonations. The Vasudan engineers we're patching up say the internal safeties have failed.
Damn! We're scrambling repair equipment from the Indus, but it's gonna be several minutes until we can load a shuttle. Do the best you can with what you have.
We've got repair technicians with heavy field equipment on board the Samson. Standard procedure for answering a stricken vessel. You could learn from our example next time.
And your transport carries only the barest medical facilities, Captain. If your engineers save the ship, we'll save the crew. Once the Pessejet is out of danger, we'll work from there.
Touché, Captain Sorensen. Here's my proposal. We stand down, and you do the same. We pool our resources, repair the Vesudan ship, and then we go our separate ways. The Vesudans continue to help us supply, while you gain favor with Khonsu for your surrender negotiations.
Indus, I'm reading a global weapons power down on the Arathusa and Tev fighters. They've disengaged and are pulling back.
What extraordinary times we live in. Very well, Captain Price. The welfare of the Pessejet will take precedence for now. However, if you do anything to compromise the ceasefire, we will not hesitate to open fire.
Red and black ants building bowling alleys together from caterpillar teeth.
This is doing my head in. Sitting this close to Tevs without shots firing?
This is Medic Team Alpha. Engineer crisis teams have managed to seal off compromised areas. Radiation levels are falling and we've managed to secure most of the surviving crew. Good thing those techs came when it did.
Normally I'd be itching to open fire, but do you think this is how it's supposed to be? That maybe this is the first sane thing that's happened since the Tevs showed up?
Ever the romantic, Laporte. Frankly, this is absurd. Sooner or later, we'll be shooting at each other again. Let's just get it over with.
If you ask me, a little danger brings a certain buzz to first meetings. Has anyone ever told you how lovely you sound on the comm? Lieutenant Fabian Kanadi, at your service. 181st Bloodhound Squadron. GTD Carthage. Call sign Anansi. Goodness knows why.
Captain Lorna Sims, Indus War Gods. Now you'll know who I am when our little hug box breaks up and I kill you.
Only one side can win. Choose. It is the way.
Sub-Lieutenant Noemi Laporte, Indus War Gods. Have a care with Captain Sims, Tev. You don't want her on the wrong side of the IFF spectrum.
So I've heard. Your squadron has Admiral Steele's attention, Sub-Lieutenant Laporte. You lot seem determined to win this war all by yourself.
It's always good to verify our strategic impact from a human source, Lieutenant Kerniati. How about some hard numbers? What's the bounty on my head?
Big enough to make me take notice, and my father's a shipping magnate. The catch is, of course, that no one survives to collect, or I'm sure I would have heard reports of your charms.
This is a bad line of work for an amateur Casanova, Lieutenant. When you get shot down out here, it's dangerously literal.
Medic Team Alpha here. Preliminary triage has been completed. We're moving the critically wounded onto the Littman for emergency care. I wish to state for the record that the conduct of the GTVA engineering teams has been more than exemplary.
Acknowledged, MT Alpha. Good work. Well, Captain Price, it seems thanks are in order.
Eyes up, pilots. New contact. It's the heavy frigate Hesperia.
Priority message to Captain Aldred. Tell him to cease fire immediately. The Arathusa is a non-combatant.
Scorpio Wing and Arathusa have gone weapons hot.
The Arathusa has opened fire.
So much for the ceasefire. All batteries return fire. Fighters form a defensive screen.
Pilots, evasive maneuvers. Watch the fire. It's close quarters at the moment.
Mayday! Mayday! A Nazi is hit!
The Arethusa is going down. That last ball is out of magazine is us.
We surrender, you traitorous sons of bitches! Hold your fire!
Hesperia, this is the Indus. The Arethusa was assisting our humanitarian mission for the Pessaget. You've just destroyed a non-combatant under a ceasefire.
Ceasefire? Pardon me, Captain Sorensen, but I got no notice from command that such a ceasefire was in place. Admiral Coleman deployed us to secure the area after we lost contact with you. The Arethusa was a hostile target and by definition a combatant.
Seems like the status quo has returned to this little patch of space, Laporte. How do you fancy the outcome of this humanize the enemy experiment?
I can't complain, one. We're still alive. But I can't help but wonder what would have happened if it had lasted a little longer. Still, I guess best intentions aren't enough to stop the fighting. It's too late for that. This war won't end until one side wins, and I'd rather it be us.
Laporte, we'll make a Martian of you yet.
Accept the transmission. Tell no one.
Oh, what the hell?
Pilots, this mission is over. Bring yourselves in. Gamma Wing from the Hesperia will take over escort duty.
Okay, pilots. First, I want everyone to know that I'm proud of the way you handled yourselves out there today. All of you managed to hold the ceasefire long enough for the Pessaget to receive assistance. What happened to the Arethusa afterward was regrettable considering the conduct of the Tevs throughout the operation, but this is a war. The crew of the Pessaget are grateful for our assistance. We're in the process of interrogating Captain Apres regarding the Pessaget's operations in the system. Latest word is that he's been cooperative and civil so far. You can expect to hear the results of that soon, but for now it looks like there's no danger of a Vasudan battle group coming to make life difficult for us. In fact, by saving the Pessaget, we may have given ourselves the diplomatic edge we need to keep the Vasudans out of the war. What is worrying, however, is the increasing abilities of the Gaian effort. The Pessaget was ambushed at a navigational point that should have been secret and secure. Somehow the Gefs knew the Vasudans would be there, which suggests both abilities and motivations unknown to us. Intelligence is revisiting what we know about the terrorist group. We're not a police force, but you can expect Natraba to divert assets into combating this terrorist threat to secure our own freight assets. What I want to know is this. If the Gefs are working for the Tevs, and Laporte, you've seen Tev transports in Gef hands, why would they provoke the Vasudans? Have they gone rogue? Or just nuts?